A very good morning, class 12th students. So this is your subject physics, chapter number 9, that is ray optics, and lecture number 6. In previous lecture you studied about various ray diagrams of convex lenses and concave lenses, and you came to know about the lens formula. So today we will be starting with lens maker's formula. Okay, so to derive lens maker's formula, I have taken this convex lens. Okay, now this O is denoting the object and this I is denoting the image. Okay, and C is denoting the optical center, because previously I was denoting it by O, but here because we have denoted object by O, so I am denoting optical center by C. This is P1 and this is P2, that is the poles of diffracting surfaces. Okay, this is the this is the refractive index of medium 1, that is mu1, and this is the refractive index of lens, that is mu2. Okay, so now what will happen? See, a ray is going from the object, right? So as you know, as it is going from rare to denser medium, it will suffer some deviation and it will bend towards normal. So it has bended like this. Now again at this surface, it will suffer some deviation. So again it is going from now denser to rarer medium, so it has bended away from normal. This I have already told you in last lecture. So here the final image is formed. But if I produce this ray, I have produced this ray and I am saying I dash is the virtual image formed by this. Okay, so O is the object, I is the final image, and I dash is the image formed by this. I have just produce this ray here. So this is your I1. Okay, take it I1. Now what we will do, we have two refracting surfaces xp1y and xp2y here. So for them we will be writing the formulas that we derived while doing refracting surfaces. Okay, so one more thing here. So this is the distance of object, that is u. This is the distance of your final image, that is v. And this is the distance of the image formed by this surface, that is first surface. We are denoting it by V1. Okay, so I hope now this diagram is clear. Now let us use the various formulas. Okay, so first I am taking for the refracting surface xp1y, that is this surface. So can you tell me which surface is this? See, this side is rarer and this side is denser. That means this is rarer towards convex side. So this is a convex refracting surface. So for convex refracting surface, we'll be just using the formula mu2 upon v minus mu1 upon u is equals to mu2 minus mu1 upon r. So mu2 upon v. For this surface, as you know, v is v1. So mu2 upon v1 minus mu1 upon u. So u is u only, is equals to mu2 minus mu1 upon r1, because I am taking for this to be r1. Okay, similarly now mark it first equation, and similarly we will be taking for xp2y. Now look here, this is your xp2y. It is concave towards rarer side, that means it is a concave refracting surface. So again using the formula for it, that is mu1 upon v minus mu2 upon u is equals to mu1 minus mu2 upon r. So therefore mu1 upon v, because for this surface the image is formed at v, mu1 upon v minus mu2 upon u. Now clearly understand here, for this surface, this was the object, this was the image, right? Now for this surface, this image will act as an object and this will be the image. So for this surface, object will be at a distance of v1. So therefore mu1 upon v minus mu2 upon u is your v1, is equals to mu1 minus mu2 upon r2. Okay, so I am explaining it once again. For this surface, this is the object and this is the image, right? I'm sorry, this is the image. Now for this surface, this image will be acting as object and then this will be the final image for this surface. Okay, so now we have written equation 1 and equation 2. Now add these two equations. So when you will add them, see, when you will add them, this quantity will cancel out, that is mu2 upon v1 minus mu2 upon v1. This quantity will cancel out. So you will get mu1 upon v minus mu1 upon u is equals to mu2 minus mu1 upon r1 plus mu1 minus mu2 upon r2. So I am taking mu1 common from these two. So you will be left with 1 upon v minus 1 upon u is equals to, I am taking mu2 minus mu1 common from this quantity. So you will be taking mu2 minus mu1 into, you will be left with 1 by r1 minus you will be left with 1 by r2. Okay. Now, if I take mu1 from left hand side to right hand side, so this equation will become 1 upon v minus 1 upon u is equals to, mu1 will be divided here. So this will be mu2 upon mu1 minus mu1 upon mu1 will be 1 into 1 upon r1 minus 1 upon r2. Now in length formula you have studied 1 upon v minus 1 upon u is nothing but 1 upon f. So put that value here. And we will be taking mu2 minus mu1 as u because as mu2 is refractive index of lens, mu1 is refractive index of medium. So I am denoting that by mu. So overall that equation will become 1 upon f is equals to mu minus 1 into 1 upon r1 minus 1 upon r2. So this equation is called Lensmaker's formula. So from here you have to remember clearly that this mu is nothing but refractive index of lens upon refractive index of medium. Remember it while you are using this formula in numericals. Okay. R1 is the radius of curvature of first refracting surface. R2 is the radius of curvature of second refracting surface. And F is the focal length. Okay. In mirrors, you have studied the formula F is equals to R by 2. There, the focal length was not depending on refractive index. So you can say the focal length of mirrors does not depend on refracting surface, does not depend on refractive index, but focal length of lenses depends on refracting index, as you can see from the Lensmaker's formula. Okay. Now, if we talk about the sign of R1 and R2 in convex lens, this is your convex lens, and if this is the incident light, this is your first surface, this is your second surface. So for this surface, R1 will be lying in this direction. So it will be taken as positive and R2 will be taken as negative because it will be in opposite direction of incident light. So remember this. Similarly, in concave lens, again, this is your first refracting surface. This is your second refracting surface. This is the direction of incident light. So for this, R1 will be lying here. That is in opposite direction of incident light. So therefore, for concave lens, R1 will be negative, and because R2 will be lying in this direction, so R2 will be positive. Okay, so remember this, for convex lens, R1 will be positive, R2 will be negative, and for concave lens, R1 will be negative and R2 will be positive. Now, according to the various quantities given in the numericals, you can put these values here and you can calculate whatever is asked in the numerical. Okay. Okay, so the next topic is combination of lenses. Okay, so in this we will be putting two or more lenses together to form a combination. So the question arises, why do we combine lenses? So the combination of lenses is done to increase magnification of the image. Okay, so when you put two or more lenses together, the magnification of the image gets increased and therefore you can see it properly. And second point is that it reduces defects in image which is produced by the single lens. Okay, so when you use only a single lens, then there is some defect in that image. So when we use more than one lens, that defect is also reduced. So therefore, for these 2 points, we combine two or more lenses. Okay, so first of all, we'll be doing this combination. So I have combined two lenses, that is two convex lenses together, right? So this is your O1, that is optical center of lens L1, and this is O2, that is optical center of lens L2. Now, this is the object which is placed here. Okay, so when a ray will go from this, when a ray will go from the object, it will suffer some deviation at L1. So it will be suffering like this, because as you know, after passing through your convex lens, a ray always converges to a single point. So it will be converging like this. Now again for L2, it will, this is the initial ray. right? I am taking it as I1. Now, because this is passing through L2, it will again converge, and here your final image will be formed. So, for this lens, that is L1, O is the object, I1 is the image. But for L2, I1 will act as object and I will be the final image. Okay. So again, this is the distance of object. See, this is from O1 because this is the object for O1. So this is U. This is V because, this is V dash because this is the image for L1 and this is the image for L2. So this will be your V. Okay, so this is U, V dash and V. Now we will be using lens formula for both the lenses L1 and L2. So for L1, so the lens formula is 1 upon F is equals to 1 upon V minus 1 upon U. So now let us suppose the focal length of L1 is F1 and focal length of L2 is F2. Okay, so you can write down for L1 1 upon F1 is equals to 1 upon V. Now as I told you, for this lens, this is the image. So V will be V dash. So therefore 1 upon F1 is equals to 1 upon V dash minus 1 upon U because this is the object. Similarly, we will be writing for L2. Now for L2, this will be the object, that is for this U will be V dash and your image, that is V will be V. So for L2, 1 upon F2 is equals to 1 upon V minus 1 upon V dash because this is the U and this is V. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now let us add equation 1 and equation 2. So when you will add them, this quantity will cancel out. See here, 1 upon V dash and minus 1 upon V dash. So this will cancel out. So you will be left with 1 upon F1 plus 1 upon F2 is equals to 1 upon V minus 1 upon U after adding them. Okay. Now, see, if the two lenses are replaced by a single lens of focal length F. See, we have two lenses of focal length F1 and F2. If we are replacing those two lenses with a single lens of focal length F, which forms image at V and object at U, that means this single lens is giving the same effect as that of those two lenses. Okay, so that is the focal length of this single lens which will be giving the same effect as those two lenses. So therefore, if you write the lens formula for this lens, that will be 1 upon F is equals to 1 upon this is V and minus 1 upon U. Now if you compare these two equations, so from these two equations you can say 1 upon capital F will be coming equal to 1 upon F1 plus 1 upon F2, right? So therefore it will become 1 upon F is equals to 1 upon F1 plus 1 upon F2, or you can say the focal length of the single lens which will be giving the same effect as those two lenses, that is L1 and L2, will be F1 F2 upon F1 plus F2. Okay. So now in the diagram we have taken F1 and F2, that is both are the focal lengths of convex lens. But if suppose F1 is the focal length of concave lens and F2 is the focal length of convex lens, that is if we are taking any combination of concave lens and convex lens, now then you know focal length of a concave lens is always negative. So F1 will be negative in that case and F2 will be positive because focal length of a convex lens is positive. Now if you put these in here, that will be giving you 1 upon F is equals to minus 1 upon F1 because again F1 will be negative plus 1 upon F2. So for that F will come to be F1 F2 upon F1 minus F2. So always remember, if you are given the combination of two convex lenses, you will be using this formula, that is F is equals to F1 F2 upon F1 plus F2. And if you are given a combination of concave lens and convex lens, then you will be using this formula, that is F is equals to F1 F2 upon F1 minus F2. So there is only a sign of only a difference of negative sign. Okay, so this was about combination of lenses. Now let us take some cases. Okay, for the combination, I am taking the formula for the combination of a concave lens and a convex lens. Okay, so now the first case is if f1 is equals to f2, that is if focal length of concave lens is equal to focal length of convex lens, then from this formula f1 minus f2 will become 0 and 1 upon 0 is infinite. That means the focal length of the combinational lens will become infinity, and as you know, the focal length is infinity for a plane glass. So therefore, that combination of a concave lens and a convex lens will act as a plane glass if their focal length is same. Okay. Second case is that in which the focal length of concave lens is greater than the focal length of the convex lens. Now see, if f1 is greater than f2, then this quantity will become positive. So you can say f will become positive. And as you know, the focal length of a convex lens is positive. So we can say then the combination will act as a convex lens overall. Okay. Third case is that if focal length of concave lens is less than the focal length of a convex lens, in that case f1 minus f2 will become negative. That is, you can say your f will become negative. And again, as you know, the focal length of a concave lens is negative. So you can say that combination will now act as concave lens. Okay. So always remember, if you have a combination of a concave lens and convex lens, and if the overall focal length is coming to be infinity, then that combination will act as plane glass. If overall focal length is coming to be positive, then that will act as a convex lens. And if overall focal length is coming to be negative, then that combination will act as a concave lens overall. Okay. Now if suppose the lenses that we have combined have magnification of M1 and M2 individually, then the magnification of the final image will be given by M1 into M2, that is total magnification will be product of individual magnification of all the lenses. Suppose if you have 3 lenses, then the total magnification will become M1 into M2 into M3. Okay. Okay, so now we have done up till now the lenses, combination of lenses when there was no gap between them. But now if suppose there is a gap of D between those two convex lenses, okay, so there is a gap between the lenses. Okay, so now again here also we will be deriving what should be the focal length if we replace them with a single lens. Okay, now understand this diagram carefully first. See, these are the two lenses. O1 is the optical center of L1. O2 is the optical center of L2. This is the distance between them, that is D. Right? Now, we have taken any ray coming like this. So, we are denoting this height as H1. Okay? So, now this is the initial path of the ray. Right? And I am taking this, leave it, I'll tell you later. So, I am just producing this line. Okay? Now, at L1, it will suffer a deviation like this. So this is the deviated ray, right? Now at L2, again it will suffer a deviation. So this is the final deviation. And I am producing this ray like this, okay? So we can say this is the, see, this is the image after 2 deviations. So this is the final image I, and this is the I1 image which is formed by the L1, okay? So now if I draw a line here, I am denoting this point by B, this point by A. So O1A is H1 and I1B is will also be H1 obviously, because see, this is the same height. Now this ray is deviated here, so I am denoting this point as D, and O2D I am taking it to be H2, right? Now one more thing, del is the angle of deviation, that is the angle between incident and your deviated ray. So see, this is the incident ray for L1 and this is the deviated ray. So this will be del 1, that is angle of deviation for L1. Similarly, this was the initial ray for L2 and this is the deviated ray. So this will be del 2. Now see, this is the total deviation produced by the two lenses. So if I produce this ray, so this ray is produced like this. So this is the del, that is total deviation produced by the two lenses is del. Okay. So remember, del 1 is the deviation produced by L1. Del 2 is the deviation produced by L2 and del is the total deviation produced by both the lenses. So total deviation will be equal to del 1 plus del 2. Obviously the total deviation will be equal to these two deviations. So del will be equal to del 1 plus del 2. Mark it, first equation. Now consider triangle ABI1, that is this triangle, right? Now in triangle ABI1, if you calculate tangent del 1, so tangent del 1 is perpendicular upon base. So perpendicular is I1B or BI1. So tangent and del 1 will be perpendicular, that is BI1 upon base. So this AB is base upon AB. Now BI1, this is nothing but H1. See, as I have told you earlier also. So this is H1 upon AB. Now look carefully. If the ray is coming parallel to principal axis, it passes through focus. So this ray is passing through this point. So we can say this is the focus point for L1. So AB is nothing but F1. So tangent del 1 is H1 upon F1. Similarly, tangent del 2 will come to be H2 upon F2. This will be the H2 and F2 will be the focal length of L2. And similarly, tangent del will come to be H1 upon F. Why H1? See, because del is this. So for that, perpendicular will be this. So this will be H1. Okay. So tangent del 1 is H1 upon F1. Tangent del 2 is H2 upon F2. And tangent del is H1 upon F. Now if I suppose the angles to be very small, that is if the angle of deviations are very small, then tangent del 1 will be nearly equal to del 1. Tangent del 2 will be nearly equal to del 2. And similarly tangent del will be nearly equal to del. So therefore, as from equation 1, del is equals to del 1 plus del 2. So therefore, H1 upon F will be equal to H1 upon F1 plus H2 upon F2. Now mark it, second equation. Now in the diagram, we will be using triangle O1AI and triangle O2DI1. That is, we are considering the triangle O1AI1 and O2DI1. Okay, because these two triangles are similar, so therefore we will be writing H2 upon H1 is equals to O2I1 upon O1I1. Okay, so we are considering triangles O1AI1 and O2DI1. Because these two triangles are similar, so therefore H2 upon H1 will be equal to O2I1 upon O1I1. So I have just written that H2 upon H1 is equals to O2I1 upon O1I1. Now if you clearly see in the diagram again, O2I1 can be written. See, O2I1 can be written as O1I1 minus O1O2. Okay, and O1O2 is nothing but D. So O2I1 is written as O1I1 minus O1O2. Okay, so this equation can be written as H2 upon H1 is equals to O1I1 is nothing but F1, as I told you earlier, minus O1O2 is D upon O1I1 is again F1. So mark it, third equation. Now from here, put the value of H2 in second equation, that is this one. So H1 upon F is equals to H1 upon F1 plus H2 upon F2. So from here H2 will be F1 minus D upon F1 into H1. So I have written just the value of H2 here. Okay. So now see, H1 will be cancelled out from all the three terms. So you will be left with 1 upon F is equals to 1 upon F1 plus F1 minus D upon F1 F2. Now from here, just divide this. So you will get 1 upon F is equals to 1 upon F1 plus this will become 1 upon F2 minus this will become D upon F1 F2. So this is the focal length. Now if there is a space between the combination of lenses, so this focal length, this lens of focal length F will be giving the same effect as those two lenses which have focal length F1 and F2. So you can just say an extra term, this is added here. Initially when there was no gap, we were having only this formula. If there is a gap of D, then you will be adding this, that is minus D upon F1 F2. Okay. Okay students, so after going through today's lecture, you can do question number 10, 19, 20 and 21. And in last lecture, two questions were given to you. Both the questions are formula based questions. So I hope you all must have done that. Okay. So do your homework and go through the lecture properly. Thank you.